Hello, myself Sakshi Nage and my seminar topic is dyes and its classification. Contents: Introduction, conditions for a colored compounds to act as a dye. What are dyes? Classification of dyes on the basis of structure. Classification of dyes on the basis of application. Introduction: Dyes as a colored substance which when applied to the fabrics gives it a permanent color. Dye is resistant to action of light, water and soap. Dyes are colored substances capable of being fixed to fabrics like silk, wool, cotton and other substances such as paper and leather. Dyes are when fixed must be fast to light and resistant action of water, dilute acids, alkali solution and bleaching. Conditions for a colored compound to act as a dye. There are two conditions: presence of chromatophore and presence of oxochromes. Presence of chromatophore. The dyes has colors due to the presence of chromatophores. The compounds bearing chromophore are known as chromogens. Then presence of oxochromes. Dye must be attached to fibers by means of stable chemical bonds. Those bonds are formed by some acidic or basic groups. Such groups are known as oxochromes. A chromogen without oxochrome can never act as a dye. What are dyes? Dyes are colored substances capable of being fixed to fabrics like silk, wool, and cotton, and other substances such as paper, leather. When fixed, dyes must be fast to light and resistant to the action of water, dilute acids, alkali solutions, and bleaching. Classification of dyes. Dyes are classified in three different ways: classification of dyes on the basis of structure, then on the basis of mode of application, and dyes can be classified into acidic and basic depending upon the nature of oxochromes present. First one is nitro classification of dyes on the basis of structure. Nitro and nitroso dyes. These dyes contain nitro and nitroso groups as the chromophores and OH as oxochrome. Colors of these dyes not fast and hence they are industrially less important. Examples are picric acid, naphthol yellowious, Martius yellow, naphthol green Y. Naphthol yellowious is one of the dye used for coloring edible materials. The examples of nitro and nitroso azo dyes. These contain one or more azo groups as chromophores. Presence possesses a wide range of colors ranging from yellow to orange and red. Examples are methyl orange, Congo red, para red, Bismarck brown. It is used as an indicator in acid alkali titration. Then triphenyl methane dyes. In these dyes, quinide group is the chromophore. These dyes have intense colors, but these colors fade rapidly in light, so these are not useful in the textile industry. Examples are malachite green, crystal violet, methyl violet, aniline blue are mostly used for coloring papers, type, typewriter ribbons. The structure of crystal violet. Pathalian Thallium dyes. The characteristic chromophoric group present in these dyes is triphenyl methane structure. Phenolphthalein is a white crystalline solid insoluble in water but soluble in alcohol and alkali. It is used as an acid-base indicator than a dye. In alkali gives a pink color and in acid it is colorless. Phenolphthalein dye. Then 5. Indigoid and thioindigoid dyes. Indigoid dye contain the carbonyl group as chromophore. Indigo is the best example and is obtained from plant. It is used on large scale for dyeing cotton by wet process. Indigo is a dark blue amorphous powder with copper luster. Thioindigo. It is used to dye cotton, wool and polyester. Anthraquinone dyes. These include hydroxy or amino derivatives of anthraquinone. Alizarin is the typical anthraquinone dye. Alizarin. It was obtained from the roots of madder plant. Now it is produced commercially as a synthetic product. It is used in manufacture of printing inks. Classification of dyes on the basis of mode of applications. Direct dyes or substantive dyes. Carried out in neutral or slightly alkaline dye solution. It contains Acidic or basic oxochrome used to cotton, wool, silk, leather and nylon. Examples are Martius yellow. Indirect or modern dyes. These are the dyes which are applied to the fabric with the help of salts. Example, oxides of aluminium or chromium. These salts are called mordants. Mordant forms of insoluble coordination complex between the fiber and the dye and binds the two. Example of a modern dye is alizarin. Ingrained dyes. These are also called as developed dyes because the dye is developed within the fabric. This method produces quite fast colors. The example is azo dyes, wet dyes. These dyes are insoluble in water but soluble in hydrosulfide. In a wet forms a colorless soluble compound which has a great affinity for cotton and other cellulose fibers. Example is indigo. Dispersed dyes. These dyes are insoluble in water but can be dispersed in a colloidal form in water. Dispersed dyes are used with modern synthetic fibers such as nylon, orlon, polyester, and cellulose acetate. The nitro-azo is anthraquinone dyes are used as dispersed dyes. Examples: Celinton Fast Blue, B.